Mickle, and he had 31 MMA wins, and that was way early on in your career. So to see you get this shine, I know, in part you're saying out of one side of your mouth, like, fuck everybody, and I get it, right? But it's nice to see you get this appreciation after so many MMA and combat sports miles. So, I don't know what your relative disposition is today, but I hope you're enjoying this Monday afternoon.
Yeah, I've endured a lot. I think, sometimes when people become champions in the UFC, you kind of like see them snap out, go crazy, and then they have like that breakdown where they're like crying and it's all became reality. And I'll get real vulnerable with you guys. That really hit me this morning. I was just talking to my wife and I was just in tears of the stuff I've had to endure. And then just over that fight week of Philly, my promoter going against me, Connor there just trashing me, Philly fans just trashing me. The BKFC were like, "Are you okay?" And I knew what I was in for. I don't take it personal, and they were just bashing me, and it was my whole life. I've had to suffer and endure humiliation and losses and take pay cuts and lose out on decisions like Zabit and Frankie, and they're just so close, and I've always had like the back end of the stick where people are just trashing me, and like I'm like some fucking bum and like I'm a loser. And it really hit me this morning, man. I broke down in tears of everything in my life that I've had to endure, man. It really just kind of finally caught up with me, and I shed some few tears with my wife, and it felt good, to have her support because I think most women, some women, that ain't really loyal or ain't here for the long run. This is a hard game, and she was there, and it felt good to cry in her arms and just share this moment, and just super grateful, living in gratitude. I mean, look, I'm back in San Diego. The weather's nice.
Yeah.
And congrats on the Eagles for winning, man. They probably would have committed suicide if they didn't win that one.
Yeah. Yeah, you just couldn't afford to have the other guy, the Underground King, come through. Jeremy Stevens with us live here on the Anik Florian Podcast. You can follow him on Instagram at Lil Heathen MMA. Now, one line that I've trotted out there over the years, and I try as a commentator and a broadcaster in the public eye to not need the appreciation, but I forget which philosopher said the most basic human need is to feel appreciated, right? And I think for your body of work, right, to your point, Zabit and Frankie Edgar, some of these close fights and your commitment to featherweight and all the sacrifice, how do you sort of compartmentalize this win compared to the Josh Emmett knockout or some of the other big triumphs in your combat sports career?
This one was the hugest win. It's always the next one. So this one to date was probably the biggest win of my career. I think like the gratitude and everybody's really kind of seeing it full circle. The fact that UFC 205, when I got humiliated by McGregor, he fought Eddie Alvarez that night, and then here we are full circle, like we're just binded till death, us three, and to go in there and get that type of resolve, like Adesanya said, and I said it best, to feel that and just come back and get the appreciation. It definitely hits home, man. It's deeper than what it looks. Big night.
You guys went face to face, and by you guys I mean you and Connor. What are the chances that this fight actually gets put together, man?
Well, cocaine Connor,
bro.
I don't see him fighting. It's good promotion, like I said. That dude's wilding out. One hell of a promoter, just wild dude, right? But I don't see it happening. But if he was to come over to bare knuckle, that'd be awesome. Listen, I'm still pretty cool with Dana White, and if we did some type of contract, I go over there, we fight. That's still a huge draw, and I feel like I've heard that. Regardless, I've been outside of UFC for a while. I would do something like that. We do one over in MMA, and we do one over in bare knuckle. I don't see that happen at all. I'm thinking more of the King of Violence. I've been screaming it from the beginning of bare knuckle, the new King of Violence. I think that's a lot more likely to happen.
And Jeremy
Stevens, go ahead, Ken Flo.
Yeah, I was gonna say, dude, you've been fighting since you were a teenager, dude. It's unbelievable how long you've been in combat sports. How much longer do you want to keep doing this?
What's funny, Kenny, is I just was looking through some old photos trying to find a photo of my buddy. It's his birthday today, and I saw the picture where I did a weigh-in, and it was when you let me borrow a shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I swear to God, that just popped up today.
That's awesome.
Maybe tomorrow I wake up and I don't want to do it no more,
Right.
but I still feel like I have a few years left. I've really taken care of my body over the years. A lot of people don't know that, but I'm really big into, my value system: God, air, water, food, health, and health. Because without that, I'm not able to take care of my family. I'm not able to do what I love to do. But I feel like I have at least 2 more years is when I would like to hang it up. But I have some time, man. I'm doing well.
So, bro, when you drop a cocaine Connor on a hot microphone, I'm dying, bro. I texted my producer. I was like, I need this dude on the air like next week. And then you go out and do what you did against Eddie Alvarez that has realized a lot of success in this medium. And I think a lot of us, when we saw you cross over to BKFC, we're thinking, man, Jeremy Stevens going to be really fucking hard to beat, right? I was just thinking because you're like top 5 savage of all time, never mind your skills, right? Just like, so how excited are you to see just how good you can be and potentially how unbeatable you can be in this setting? Because so far, pretty fucking good.
Well, at the press conference, the very first one, I told him, I go, my hands break jaws. And I kept true to my promise. I broke his jaw. His jaw's wired shut. The thing is, and hear me out, I have to, these guys are forced to deal with the pain that I've had to deal with, the suffering, the loss, the humiliation, the paycheck cuts, no one's had to endure what I've had to endure. And I get a chance to bring that into bare knuckle. And if you've noticed, all 3 of those fights, I've dropped them, I've broken them, and I've beaten the freaking soul out of these guys. Like, they're forced to deal with this pain and stand and bang with me. You can't take me down, even though Jimmy Rivera and Eddie both shooting double legs when I get in there. They're forced to deal with this pain. So I get to take all this shit that I've endured, and all their boys, even his kids, were out like this outside the arena, flashing Eddie shirts, and everybody's like rooting against me. And I was just stoically like, okay, we'll see fight night when we get in there, because you're gonna have to be forced to stand with me. His mindset in the second press conference is the schmo. He's talking about MMA, and I'm like, bro, those guys squeaked out losses. Zabit ran like he was a fucking bro. He never even competed again. He ran and ran out and ran off. Frankie, he literally had to wrestle his ass off to pull off a hairline decision. Like, in this game, you're forced to stand and bang with me. There's no way out. You have to deal with that pain, and I can transfer that pain into purpose and getting paid. And that's what I'm doing. I'm breaking these guys in there. I've broken 3 men in there already in a very short amount of time, and no one's doing it like me. Not even Mike Perry, who's a bigger guy, did that to Eddie Alvarez, and I was able to do that.
Dude, I agree with everything.
And now everybody's seeing it. Now everybody's like, now everybody's on board. Now everybody's seeing it. Now everybody wants to show me love. So, I know who's really there and what I believe in.
I just remember having conversations with Dominic Cruz about you back in the day, some of which you were there for. And I'm not sitting here saying I told you so, but I've always felt like you're underrated, right? Josh Emmett is ubiquitously regarded as the most powerful featherweight, and you knocked him out, right? Like, I do believe that in terms of your skill and your commitment and your ability to just break faces, like, you haven't necessarily gotten the credit for everything that you've done. So to see you be sort of on top of the conversation after a fight weekend and have the UFC be dark so you can get all the shine that I think comes with that, I think is really great. I think the Conor McGregor fight could happen. Now, the Logan Paul thing, you can understand why the UFC would be so dismissive of that as they try to get him back in the octagon. But don't you feel like Conor's appetite right now in terms of whatever training camp would be more for like a BKFC fight against you than for a mixed martial arts contest?
We have way more of a storyline, and I'm way more of a fighter than Logan Paul. Like, granted, like, he's making money, but dude, man, that guy couldn't carry my jock strap, bro. Like, seriously, like, soft ass dude. I've broken people with calf kicks, and Conor was taken out by Dustin Poirier with calf kicks. He was taken out with boxing. I have all that. I have a lot of layers of skill before you even get to my will. And people used to look at me all kind of crazy, like, you think you can beat Conor? I was like, bro, I believe I can beat Conor. Just like I told people, I'm certain I'm going to beat your boy up in Eddie Alvarez. And people think like a crowd's going to scare me. They forget, I was up in Montreal Bell Center in front of 65,000 people fighting Sam Stout. Like, the whole week they were just Sam Stout. Like, he's on TV when I'm in my hotel room. Like, I've been here. I've done that. A lot of people just I think they're blinded by my power and things on the outside. They don't really see the full journey, and it's coming full circle. It's truly my time.
Jeremy Stevens with us here live on the Anik Florian Podcast. I just have two more questions. I very much appreciate your time. I know you're busy, especially today. So as you're competing or around the same time, do you get drafted by the GFL?
Yeah, and here's the funny thing, and I'm going to let you guys in on this because GFL wants me, right? And I like, okay, they offered some decent amount of money. It's probably one of the bigger paydays, even more than I got paid now. I have not signed the contract because I knew that this fight was going to propel me to a different level of stardom. It was going to propel me to a different level of like the recognition. I'm the only one in here, and my wife, she knows it. Like, I believed in myself. I was stretched out a year, and I took a risk, and not a lot of people would do that. They would probably just sign like, "Ooh, I'm going to get this money in April." Like, oh, I have not signed the contract because I want them to renegotiate the contract if they want me on the team. And I bet on myself. I took a huge risk, and that's kind of behind the scenes. People don't know about it. And yeah, they drafted me. I would love to fight for them. And now, before I sign that contract, I need a different offer and bigger payday.
That is amazing. I love that
awesome.
You created that leverage for yourself. No doubt about it. And that's Jeremy Stevens true to form. And I do believe a Conor McGregor-Jeremy Stevens fight under the UFC banner would be of great appetite to Conor right now. So we'll just see how it all plays out. But you got a great promoter. And I just hope financially and otherwise you have this promoter behind you because he seems like a really good guy. And just great to see you on top of the world. I'll leave you with this and you can answer quickly. So your daughter brings home a boyfriend and says, "I'd like you to show me one of your fights. I don't really know about mixed martial arts or boxing." Which fight are you putting on for this individual?
Well, he's, in this game, you got to put a pound of flesh in. So I'm not going to show him the highlight tape. I'm just going to take him out back and show him real life, because, you can tell people great advice. You can tell them, hey, this is about your life, but you have to actually do it. You have to actually be involved. You have to put a pound of flesh.
Skin in the game,
baby. In the game, baby. So I'd make him come out back and put some skin in the game. I wouldn't beat him up, but I'd definitely rough him up and teach him a good lesson. So then he would really truly know what
R.I.P.
the fuck.
R.I.P. to that
guy.
Have you ever done commentary?
No, I would love to, man. A lot of people don't realize I have really good intellect. I would love to do that, especially life after fighting. Kenny, I've seen you just have an incredible career, what you're doing, even shooting guns now, and everything about discipline. Like, I believe in that. Like, I believe in Jordan Peterson. You should be a very dangerous dude and know how to control that. GSP once said it, I'm a martial artist who learned fighting. And I kind of looked at that and I was like, man, that's not really my life. The authentic me is I'm actually a fighter first who learned martial arts and how to channel that. And it was a gift.
Well, dude, like, I'm not just blowing you up, honestly, as far as the broadcasting is concerned. Obviously, you can tap into a wealth of combat sports experience, but do you hear this man's fucking pipes, Ken Flo? I don't know if you sound like Jason Kelsey, the former Philadelphia Eagle. You got a great voice for broadcasting, right? You're not long-winded, right? You're concise. I'm serious, man. Like, you got a lot to offer, and we're really happy for you. Whatever is next, whomever it is against, we will be watching. If you want to follow this man's journey on Instagram, at Lil Heathen MMA. Iowa's own Jeremy Stevens made his UFC debut at UFC 76 back in 2007. Wish a motherfucker would. Hey, enjoy the day. Have a great week, and we appreciate your time sincerely.
Hey, you guys are two of my favorite people, man. Thank you, man, and God bless you guys. I'll see you soon.
Congrats,
Dominic in Seattle. I hope to see you guys there. I'm gonna go up there for his last banger, man. Tell Uncle Dana to hit me back. I need some tickets.
I will be there, so I'll see what I can do. I'm going out there as a fan for Dom Swan's song as well. So
awesome. Love to catch up, brother. I'll see you soon.
There he is.
Hey, Jeremy.
The great Jeremy Stevens with us live on the Anik Florian podcast. I know we did have a fan question about Jeremy Stevens versus Platinum Mike Perry, but I wanted to be respectful of that man's time. And Kenny, I can be hyperbolic. Yes, right? Like, I think I might have been the one who suggested Israel Adesanya as the greatest middleweight champion of all time. And then I maybe backtracked and suggested that Anderson Silva should maintain that spot, right? But I've always believed Jeremy Stevens was underrated. And there are other lightweights, I feel, that were underrated, that if you got Paul Felder in the right setting against Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje, maybe he could be competitive, but he can never get the big fight. I don't know. I'm just really happy for Jeremy, a guy absolutely from your era, hopefully realizing some financial gains here, 20 years later.
Some people are built for that specific thing, right? Or built for a specific thing. Jeremy Stephens is built for fighting. I'll never forget in 2011, he fought a buddy of mine, former training partner of mine, Marcus Davis, who was a pro boxer, good pro boxer. And he hit him with a shot, and I thought he killed my friend. I mean, that's how hard he hit him. I mean, I remember just looking at that level of power, and I was like, if I face that guy, I got to make sure my defense is on point. But yeah, Jeremy's just always been that dude since he was a teenager. This kid has lived for fighting. And to see him, again, just like he said, harness this violence into a guy who speaks with a lot of wisdom and a lot of confidence, has seen that. He is specifically in this place because of all that adversity that he's experienced. So it's great to see him at this point. He's matured so much over the years. To see him do this well, man, it's really cool.
Future's bright. And if his management is listening, I really think that I'd like to hear that voice on a hot microphone on an MMA broadcast. All right, thanks to Jeremy Stephens. Thanks to his manager, Sarah, and everybody else for helping us get that together. And thanks to everybody indulging us over the last several hours or this half hour live on the Anik Florian podcast. Big things next week. Wheels up to Sydney, Australia. Kempfo, we're going West Palm Beach to Houston to Sydney. Woo! So it's a different route. We got like 18 and a half on that one leg from
Still
Houston
a long one. Yeah.
to Sydney. But we will be there. Before we get there, we will have our complete preview with predictions next week from Ken Flo on UFC 312. And we also will rewatch Dricus du Plessis versus Israel Adesanya for UFC Fight Pass as part of the Anik Florian Rewind. Thanks to Jeremy Stephens. Thanks to our producer, Cody Merrow. And thanks to all of you watching live and after the fact. For Ken Flo, I'm Jon Anik. We will talk to you next Monday. Until then, yo fucking later.
I love this shit.